Good morning, guys. All right, Friday. Made it to the end of the week, October 17th. And tonight is the big walk around for OSU homecoming. We're going to be out there, so hope to see you guys out there. We're praying that the rain holds off, especially for the parade tomorrow morning. We're going to be in the parade as well for Oklahoma State University homecoming, but we're just praying that the rain holds off. We did not do a massive float like we were wanting. My wife, well, she's good at everything, but she was going to do this massive float, and just because of the craziness of our schedule, decided not to. And I'm glad, because it might rain, but praying that it doesn't, praying that it holds off. But we're going to be out there at the walk around. If you're out there, be sure to catch us. We are, I just thought of something. Hang with me a second. I'm gonna post something that you're gonna appreciate here in just 1 second. We're gonna bring something out to OSU that I think is pretty cool, an opportunity, and I'm gonna let you in on it right here. A little advanced opportunity. Give me 1 second. And I'm going to post this here on the screen for you guys, for all of you tuning in, because you're just so amazing. And all right, check it out. All right, we're going to be passing around thousands of these. All right, now you too can enter to win a Glock donated for Cops Gun Shop. Cops Gun Shop donated this Glock 43 MOS 9mm, and if you just right now scan that QR code, scan that and enter to win. The drawing is going to be not this Sunday, but next Sunday, so you have plenty of time to enter and share it with as many people as you can, and a chance to win a Glock. This also, by registering, puts you on our mailing list so we can update you on all the other amazing things we're doing. So there you go. Now, I don't know if you saw this recent article, moved from exciting to not so exciting, but we are still in the middle of this fight here for Preston. Of course, if you've been following me for any length of time, you've probably heard about Preston still in OU, at OU Children's Hospital, still being held against their will. I reached out to the governor and asked him to address this, and have not heard anything. Have not heard anything from the AG. Still, I asked Dana, the mom, about the restoration of her rights, and she said, yeah, they technically have, but I still can't leave the hospital. They are still moving forward with their protocol of treatment, and it's all against her will. So what rights have been restored? It's a shame. I'm talking about everywhere we go. We're not letting this go. Even after they leave the hospital, we're not letting this go. So we're going to correct this grievance. I say we. It's on the family, but I'm standing right there with them, along with several others. Of course, Senator Shane Jett has been right there with them throughout this whole thing. Appreciate his efforts too. So if you haven't read this article by Visit V1SUT, it's on Substack, and you need to check it out. I was there Friday night when she was checked in, when Dana and Preston were checked into the hospital, and had a chance to talk with Dana. That's when I posted my first video. And I came back later, a few days later, to go visit with Preston, because I wanted to see for myself. I wanted to meet him. I'd heard amazing things about him. I talked with Roberta Lewis, who's also she's mentioned this article, and I talked with Roberta. She said that she's close with Dana and Preston, and she said I talk with Preston daily, and he is a very intelligent young man, speaks clearly, thinks on his own. Um, this idea of him having autism has diminished his in the eyes of many, has diminished his ability to make decisions on his own. But you know, Roberta said, when you think autism with Preston, think Elon Musk autism, like high functioning autism. And so I had a chance to go and visit with Preston, and well, this is a piece of my experience.
So we're checking out the OU game here, and that is what domination looks like, right? Right, Preston?
Yeah,
So how long have you been an OU fan, Preston?
for as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
Do you think that OU has a chance of winning today?
Yes.
I think they're gonna handle it.
Yeah.
What, 12 minutes left?
Yeah.
Now, I asked you earlier, but we got to get it on record.
Yeah.
Is OU going to beat Texas?
We'll see how Arch Manning does. He's just scored, so
You think that's what it hinges on?
mhm.
Arch Manning? Okay. Okay. I'm pretty confident. I think we're going to handle Texas, but you never know in the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah. Last year we got beat.
Yeah. All right. So after the game next weekend, I'm going to check back with you, and we'll
Yeah.
see if your prediction came true.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I haven't had a chance to check back with him because he is writhing in pain and not in any position to talk about football. This is just a glimpse of where he's at. Remember that the first time DHS encountered Preston, they picked him up on Friday. That previous Monday, when DHS visited his home and asked to see him, Dana had to go get him from the backyard because he was mowing the lawn. Okay, up and active, had gained weight. Well, this is him now. So as you can see, modern medicine just doing wonders for his health and well-being, and the state enforcing it. I cannot tell you how angry I am at this whole situation. And so I spoke yesterday at the Reagan breakfast. Went well, but previous to that, like just the day before, I believe it was the day before, I got an email. Well, I'd seen postings on a lot of our stuff on social media from an account, it was an anonymous account and with an alias. And so I reached out. I said, "Hey, I'd love to hear your story." He was asking to connect with me to tell his story, and I said, "Send it to me." So he emailed me, and it was a story of adult protective services and how they had violated their constitutional God-given rights by taking his 92-year-old mother against her will, against the family wishes, placing her in a nursing home where she sits. He said prior to this, she was up and around. She was gardening. She was just, very active for a 92-year-old lady. But the state felt like she needed extra attention, I guess, and was unable to live on her own. So, and I don't know all of the details of this case. I'm just hearing straight from the son who sent me this email saying that now my 92-year-old mother sits and sits and sits and sits in a nursing home, does nothing. And most of his attempts to communicate with her are blocked by the nursing home. He said the state is now actively seeking to acquire all of her assets, her home, her $5,000 a month. And I was at the Reagan breakfast, and I was telling the story to the people. I was talking about the things I wanted to change in Oklahoma, situations like Preston, and then I brought up the situation of the 92-year-old mother that was recently shared with me on via email. And it happened to be that the man who sent that to me was there, and I didn't even know it. I had never met him before, and he actually raised his hand. He said, "Actually, I sent you that message." And I said, "Wow, thank you for being here." So he was able to there give a firsthand account of the situation. And we have just as many concerns with the Adult Protective Services division of DHS as we do the CPS, the Child Protective Services. The entire system is broken and dependent on unqualified, overworked caseworkers who are coming in, making a determination of one's well-being, and bringing this information to a judge who signs off on an order to go. I mean, how do you say this? And it's not arrest, but bring them into state custody. So this whole system, this process as a whole must change. We have to have someone else at the top of DHS, and we need better qualified caseworkers, and we need due process. Determine, how does one determine one's well-being? And are there checks and balances? Are there like absolute technical assessments being done to assess one's well-being? I don't think so. No, it's simply an external, superficial examination. That being enough to get a judge's signature to just upset one's entire life. This mom of the son of the 92-year-old lady said he is actively trying to get custody back to get her out of the hospital because she is saying, "I don't want to die in here. I don't want to die in here." He said he had been diagnosed with anxiety. So because of his previous diagnosis of anxiety, the court deemed him unqualified to take care of his own mother. So I'm tired of the state dictating one's life, and we need to get government in its place and out of our lives. It is grossly overreaching of violating our inherent rights. I appreciate all your comments here. Luna saying, adult kidnapping happens every day. Do not warehouse your elderly. I agree. I would love to see this change as a trend in our culture. It's been just accepted that this is the natural progression in life, that once you reach a certain age, your family puts you in a nursing home. I understand if there's like real medical needs that need to be addressed and that supervision is required on a daily basis, but oftentimes it's simply a family not wanting to deal with the responsibility of caring for their parents or grandparents. And this is a trend that has to change in our state, in our country, that we care for our own. So yeah, you bring up a good point, Luna, about caseworkers and how they're paid via Social Security Title IV. And, the federal money involved in this is absurd. And the money that they get when they take a child or they take an adult, remove the incentive, remove the financial incentive, and see if they still take as many people. I said this before, that if a cop was paid to arrest criminals, his pay was determined based on how many criminals he brought in, he'd be bringing in a lot of criminals. He'd be looking for opportunities to arrest people, because that means he's bringing in more bacon. So Yeah, we have to remove the financial incentive to take children and take adults. It's exactly what I just said, Mia. She said, until these incentives go away, nothing's going to change. It's guaranteed. I agree. You have to remove the financial incentive. Let it be done because of the well-being of the person, not because someone's going to, or the institution, the agency is going to benefit financially from it. And this is why the accusation is there about child trafficking, taking children for money. That's what we're seeing. Sorry, I'm getting some messages here on my phone too on this. So I'm going to follow up. If you would share that story, it's on Visit. You can go to Substack. It's on my Facebook page, and you can share that. V1SUT. You can share that. Just make sure we get this out. We keep the pressure on. We don't want this to just fade away into oblivion. Because, like I said, even if and when Preston does get out, it's just the beginning. It is just the beginning. He's got a long way to go down to rebuild his health just to the starting point of where he was when he went into the hospital. How much longer is it going to take for him to get to a place where he can mow the lawn again? So they got to get him off of the protocol that's killing him. And, they said that they would discharge him as soon as his white blood cell count was lowered. Of course, your body produces white blood cells when it is fighting something. So they do a biopsy on his hip. And now there's a massive infection on his hip. And the white blood cell count is up. Well, of course it is. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I would imagine if you have an infection due to this another unwanted procedure with the biopsy, the bone marrow biopsy they did on his hip. Now they're saying, well, his white blood cell count is up. We can't let him go until it goes down. We'll stop cutting into him. And let's see if we can get the white blood cell count down then. So, yeah, I mean, right now we're just waiting for the doctors to sign off on his release. And until that happens, the state will not let them leave, even though his health is clearly declining every single day. It's rampant, though. It's rampant. I have a full inbox of stories that have been coming to me since this, people begging to tell their stories. And I'll just repeat for those watching, be patient with me, please. I'm running all over the state, still working a job, trying to do that while we campaign across the state. But I do want to record these stories and get these stories told, because this is just more evidence against the corruption in our state. And we need these stories told. So I will get back with you. All right. Let me talk to you about something else that disturbs me. I said in the title of this post, the future of Oklahoma. And this is what I'm saying every day. I went up to Medford yesterday, got back late last night, went up to the top of Oklahoma, Medford, Oklahoma. And I talked to them about the future of Oklahoma. When you think the future of Oklahoma, what do you think of? I think of two things: our children and our land. Kind of simplified version of what I think about when I think about the future is children and land. And we've got to protect both. So on the way up to Medford, I thought it was appropriate to swing by some solar farms. I usually don't call them solar farms or solar industrial complexes. And these were done out, it's in southern part of Garfield County. So here's some prime farmland. And turns into this. These just go on and on and on. So what do we do when we cover all of our farmland in solar panels? What does that mean for our food supply, our ability to feed ourselves? What does this mean for property rights of the neighboring property? I mean, the argument is that one has the right to do with one's land as he wishes. So if he wants to put up solar panels, so be it. Well, consider this, though, that you putting up solar panels on your property is one thing, but that also requires transmission lines, whether they be above the ground or below the ground, that must go through your neighbor's property. And what does it do to their property value? I mean, you can't just decide I want to put in a chicken farm and put it in. There's regulations around it. Same with pig farms. There's a lot of different situations we can think of. You can't just install a power plant on your property. I mean, there's regulations around this, but with a solar farm like this, that strips off all of the prime topsoil solar panels to produce electricity that's being shipped out of our state, transmission lines going over or through neighbor's property. I have a problem with that. And the people of Garfield County do as well. So I wanted to give you a little glimpse of what I saw yesterday. It was just a small glimpse. These go on forever. And, neighboring farms now that their neighbors have covered their fields with solar panels, and now this guy's property value has plummeted. We're seeing them now sell out. And so the solar farms keep expanding. As property value goes down, they just sell out to the solar farms too and move on. So it's I believe, a travesty happening across Oklahoma, not just in Garfield County, but across Oklahoma, right down the road from me in Minco. They're putting in 2 square miles of solar panels. So again, prime farmland out there. And I'm also looking at the underlying issue of why farmers are so desperate. I don't think they want this. I don't think they're like, it's my dream to have a field full of solar panels, but they reach a desperate place because of the value of cattle, the value of their land, the stress of property tax. I mean, all these contributing factors that are leading to one selling out. And it's happening across the state. So, I want to see at least a bare minimum moratorium put on all future green energy projects like this, so we don't just keep expanding before proper regulations are in place and before all these questions are answered. We don't even know the long-term effects of these solar panels. And hey, where are these solar panels coming from, by the way? Are they being made in China? So lots of concerns about this whole industry. In the end, is it even green? Yeah, it's not, I hate to even, we have so many words we use like fossil fuels. These are not fossil fuels. This is an antiquated term applied to oil pulled from the ground that was once said came from fossils. It doesn't come from fossils. So, sorry, I just saw a post here. Yeah, land is selling upwards of $20,000 an acre. In many places, much more than that. Around the Yukon area, about 3 years ago when we were looking, it was around $40,000 an acre. So yeah, it is. But yeah, I think probably down here in Tuttle, it's 20,000 or and up. Good morning from Freedom Acres. Good to see you guys. Love some Freedom Acres down there in Durant. So yeah, this expansion of the green energy projects is a massive problem. The future of Oklahoma is children and land. And right now, both of them are at high risk. Our land is being covered in windmills and solar panels, bought up by the Chinese, taxed with heavy property tax. And our children we're constantly a threat of losing them to the state. The government that is supposed to be in place to ensure our God-given rights are protected, the state is the very entity that's violating those God-given rights. It's a shame. It's got to be corrected. Jennifer saying up around Enid, land going for 20,000 an acre, and yeah, that is an issue. Is like, so young families, like you said, can't afford these homes and farms, and I'm focusing on property tax a lot because I do believe it is more theft of the state, and it needs to end. But whenever you buy prime land and then, God forbid, you build on it, then what does it do to that property tax? So, Mia says land is taxed so high and we can't do anything here in Tuttle without permits for everything. I know. The permitting is out of hand too, where you have to ask permission to do anything on your land. It's insane. Cheap energy leads to prosperity. Expensive energy leads to collapse. That's why I would like Oklahoma to explore and lead the way in nuclear energy. And I've been saying this all over the place, but after doing some research and having some conversations with individuals like a retired nuclear submarine veteran who educated me on nuclear energy and the difference in modern day nuclear energy compared to the nuclear energy of 3 Mile Island and the notorious meltdown that happened there. It's not the same. It's a completely different process, and it takes up very little space on land. Still requires a lot of red tape and federal approval, but in the end, I would love to see Oklahoma invest in and lead the globe in nuclear energy. It's clean, it's abundant, and it's cheap. So I agree with you, Clayton, that we need that kind of cheap, efficient energy. And I don't think solar's the answer, or wind turbines. But Jennifer, yeah, you can email me at jake@jakemerrickforgovernor.com, jake@jakemerrickforgovernor.com, or even jakeforthestate@gmail.com. So let me just post that. Send me my email there. Yeah, I'd love to connect with all of you guys. So send me whatever thoughts you have. One of the things I've been telling people is I would love to have, when elected governor, I'd love to have multiple citizen advisory boards acknowledging that, I am not an expert in nuclear energy. I'm not an expert in the lives of spouses of veterans. I'm not a school teacher. Those who are in the field doing whatever they do are the experts in that field. And so I want to create multiple citizen advisory boards to hear from farmers and ranchers and to hear from manufacturers. And this, I believe, is how we understand what's actually happening in Oklahoma and what the real answers are, rather than going above the people's heads to these major corporations or these other boards that are advising states and advising governors. Do you think they have the interest of the people in mind? I think not. So I want to come down to the ground level right here where we are right now, continue these kind of conversations, and have citizen advisory boards that sit with me as governor and talk about what the real solutions to these problems are. Jennifer saying people need to be careful talking about property tax. 42% of taxes collected in Alfalfa County come from out of state. 42% of taxes collected in Alfalfa County come from out of, you'll have to explain that. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Because with these advisory boards and talking with farmers and ranchers in the state, you can get insight, like Clayton just said. Time to get the USDA out of Oklahoma. what is impacting the prices of beef and price of food here in the state? What are those organizations that are benefiting the people, and what are those organizations that are oppressive to people? So, yeah, no, I agree. I mean, eliminating property tax does eliminate an income source for the state, but guess what that does? That lets people keep. I mean, I'm fighting for the people, and the state currently is robbing people by taxing them on property they own. That's my issue. It's a matter of principle. When the state is taxing people on property they own so that they can never truly own that property, and there's always a risk and threat of losing that property because they can't pay the tax, that's wrong. I'm more concerned about that than I am about the state making more money. I want the people, the welfare of the people to improve. And but I know your point. You're saying that there's the out of state owners that own these own property in Oklahoma, and so we look at whatever scenario makes most sense, and does it involve out of state owners of property in Oklahoma that they pay a certain tax on this land as non-residents? Maybe there's something like that. Corporations continuing to pay property tax as a line item expense on their business. So, maybe there is a world where conditions for property tax still exist in certain circumstances, but for the average person, they get to own their home. They get to own their land without continuously paying rent to the government. So Gail, you bring up a good point. Yeah, I have always said that I love the fair tax model that moves it to a consumption tax. And there's some things to be thought out with that too. But the fair tax model is a consumption tax that ends the income and the corporate and the property tax, and it moves it to a consumption model at the register, and it is a higher rate at the register, higher sales tax, but all these other taxes go away, and then you choose then how much in taxes you want to pay based on how much you buy. And rich people pay more taxes then because they buy more things. Poor people pay fewer taxes because they buy fewer things. But I like that fair tax model. There are some things to consider there, especially in a world where we can order things easily on Amazon. And would people simply just bypass buying things in Oklahoma altogether and buy out of state or buy exclusively on Amazon? And so that's something to consider with that model too. But no, I agree, Jennifer, on the homestead exemption for sure, that those that buy property and then they are attempting to set up a homestead, and I'm in favor of that homestead exemption. Man, it's so good. I think about when we're doing these videos here of the people tuning in later who may not see the thread that I'm commenting on, so I don't want to get too involved in all of the comments that other people may not be able to see. But I love the conversation and the comments, so keep those coming in. I'm looking here, and I've been on for 30 minutes, and I noticed I have an appointment coming up, so I'm going to have to hop off. But continue to pray for Preston and pray for Dana. I want to see them out of the hospital, and I want to see justice done in their case. And then I want to see total reform in the DHS system. And then, as I mentioned, it's children and land. And so let's continue this conversation about the best path forward to protect our land here in Oklahoma. Obviously, we have to close the loophole that's allowing the Chinese to continue to buy land in Oklahoma. But then even after we buy it, as we buy it, our own land, how do we keep it? And then what can we do with that land that's productive and it benefits the entire state? These are the questions I'm asking. What kind of energy source can we can we move toward here in Oklahoma on top of oil and gas? We still have an abundance of oil and gas here in the state. We're not running out anytime soon. So, I want to see more drilling. And, but on top of that, I think exploring nuclear is a viable path forward. Thank you for that summary there, Clayton. Get the feds out of our business. A little brief summary of today. Get the feds out of our business. Power to the parents. Freedom, state sovereignty, Oklahoma first. Great summary. That does summarize that well. Jennifer, I'll be looking for your email. Love to hear more from you and anyone else that wants to email me, jake@jakemerrickforgovernor.com or jakeforthestate@gmail.com. And if you would, you can share this live stream and hop on the jakemerrickforgovernor.com. You can donate to the campaign. Also, I want to let you know I'm working on a really amazing project. I've been working on this for since the first of the year, but we have ramped it up, have created a whole new website for it, and it's a beautiful platform that's going to work really, really well to benefit the people of Oklahoma. And it is a network of like-minded businesses. So it's a business listing for patriots, and it's called the Oklahoma Patriot Network. And so if you have a business and you are a patriot, you love freedom, you have faith, and you love family, I want you to be a part of this. So it's a very low entry cost for businesses, $25 a month to get your name listed on this directory. And the people of Oklahoma then will have a place to go to find patriot businesses. And so I'd love to start with all the small businesses. I've kept that price low so that mom and pop shops can be a part of this. I want to promote and help locally owned businesses grow. So OklahomaPatriotNetwork.com. But again, you can just text me or email me, jakeforthestate@gmail.com if you want to be a part of that. But if you have a business, I'd love to get you plugged into this network that we are launching and growing. I'm going to be talking more about this in the future. All right, guys, God bless you. I got to run, but be sure to keep this conversation going in my inbox. All right, I'll see you later.